I'm Satyajit. You can call me Satya. I'm an Agile coach, a safe practice consultant, an ICAgile accredited trainer. I do take some ICAgile courses, and I'm also a PMA ITP instructor. I've been with the industry for more than 23 years now. And about the course, this is Safe Scrum Master. Now, there are two aspects, right? So one is, we'll be learning about Scrum, because it's a Scrum Master. So we'll be learning about Scrum. We'll be learning about Safe as a framework, right? What is Safe? Why is Safe? What is Safe? What are the different roles? So, and where does Scrum Master fit in, right, in this entire framework? And we'll also talk about what should be the traits of effective Scrum Master. We'll look at the coaching aspect, we'll look at the effectiveness of Scrum Master, we'll look at how to build successful teams, and how Scrum Master can support during the execution. So that's what we will learn in this course. I'm not really going to read the PPTs, and I'm very bad at reading PPTs, especially in a remote environment where I'm just reading the PPT and then you go to sleep. So we'll not be reading the PPTs. Yes, I'll take you through the content, but we'll learn a lot from our discussions, activities, whiteboarding. So I'll do a lot of whiteboarding, and we'll also do a lot of activities. I have a tool called Mural. Has anybody heard of Mural?
Yes.
Mural, Miro, one of the simple online collaboration tools. So we'll be using Mural. There's a whiteboard, and you can use your mouse to pan, zoom in, zoom out, right? And at any blank space, if you double click, it will create a sticky, and then you can start typing, and you can resize. And if you don't like this boring sticky, you can select from here. And I want something rectangle, something interesting, pink. You can start typing, and then we'll do a lot of activities, and select and drag and drop. And you can also select a lot of these connectors, shapes, when we do some interesting activities. And there is a small icon here called outline. As you see here, small icon outline. When you click on this outline, you get to see these numbers. Now, if I'm asking you to go to a particular activity, you just click on that, say, hey, now let's go to number 15. You click on 15 and it will zoom in there, so that you don't find it difficult to locate that particular activity. Is it okay if we start from a little bit of basics? I know we have a lot of experienced persons here, you know what is Agile, Scrum, but is it okay if we start from a little bit of basics? So at a team level, we have the iteration planning, the team sync, iteration review, and we also have iteration retrospective. And there is one continuous activity. It's not, even though it's not an official event, it's a continuous activity, the backlog refinement. And what could be the equivalent of these at an art level? Suppose that these are art events. So what could be the equivalent of iteration planning at an art level? PI planning. And equivalent of team sync. I did mention that the Scrum Masters get together once or twice a week.
Or Scrum of Scrums.
We used to call it Scrum of Scrum, but we call it now as the post sync. And similarly, the product owners get together to talk about scope changes, priority changes. They sync up again once or twice a week. That's known as PO sync. Together, this is known as art sync. And what could be the equivalent of iteration review?
PI review.
After every iteration, what do we do? System demo, right? This is what I said. We want to ensure that the working product, we evaluate the working product from the integrated code after every iteration. That's the system demo. And equivalent of iteration retrospective, we have an event called inspect and adapt. And we have another, it's not really specifically an event, but like backlog refinement, we also do something here called preparing for PI planning. Now, when we talk about the frequency of these events, what is the frequency of iteration planning? Once in, what is the frequency?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 to 4 weeks.
No, that is Scrum. When we are talking about Safe, we said the ideal time, the suggestion
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And team sync once a day. Iteration review again once in 2 weeks. Retrospective once in
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Now PI planning Once in. What is the frequency?
4 weeks.
This is one PI is, what is the duration of one PI?
Duration is 2 days. The total is 8 to 12. Every 8 to 12 weeks.
8 to 12 weeks, but the most
10 weeks. Yeah.
common is 10 weeks. Okay? So once in
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Code sync once or twice per week. PO sync similarly once or twice per week. System demo once in
10 weeks.
no system demo.
Oh,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Inspect and adapt is the final review and retrospective of the PI. We demonstrate and inspect and adapt all the work done by all the 10 teams in the entire PI. That is once in 10 weeks. So the team events are facilitated by the Scrum Master. The art events is facilitated by who will facilitate?
Is the RTE.
RT is the Scrum Master for the art. Now all these events which are in once in 10 weeks, these events now take place during the last iteration. So what we do is we don't plan any work for the last iteration and we call it the IP iteration or innovation and planning iteration. So we don't plan any work. We do PI planning for the upcoming PI. We do the inspect and adapt event. Now, because from here PI2 begins, we need to do the planning for PI2. That's what we do it here. This is the PI2 planning. And the inspect and adapt event, do it here. I'll explain the entire agenda for the innovation and planning iteration of the IP iteration. But on a high level, this is what we do. We don't plan any work for the 9th and 10th week. Now we do innovation and inspect and adapt and planning for the next PI. So what we do is, we start with the preparing for PI planning, then do the PI planning, and then continue our PI. So we'll discuss all these events. PI planning is the most important event, as they say, if there is magic in safe, it is in PI planning. So what is PI planning?
The evolution from the first PI planning a year ago to the PI planning that we're in now, which is PI 6, has changed dramatically. Both enjoyable experiences, but everybody kind of running around like headless chickens, quite nervous in that first PI. And now we seem to be like a well-oiled engine.
It's been probably the most fundamental change for our commercial teams. Our commercial teams never had the opportunities to get in front of the engineers. There was always multiple layers in between there. Having this process where every 10 weeks, we've got a business owner who's saying, hey, thank you team for what you delivered last time. Here's what it drove. And hey, here's what we're hearing from our customers about what we need. This is why it's a priority. And when we actually deliver this, here's the value that it's going to drive to them and us.
The teams are so much more confident in their planning. We do things a lot earlier. We collaborate more effectively across the teams and across product management and the dev teams, so that when we come into PI planning, the teams have a good idea of what they're going to take on in their individual teams.
We had our business owners come to us and say, look, I know that we have all these commitments, but one of our primary customers has asked us to make a change. We said, okay, what are we taking off the plate of the teams? Because we can't do it all, and SAFe tells us we can't do it all. They agreed that there was work that could be removed. We went back to the teams. And when we told the teams, A, you're gonna get started on this, go ahead, we're good to go. B, you're going to remove X off of your plate. They looked at us and they were like, wait, what? We don't have to do it all? The team was able to deliver the new requirement in less time than they had estimated it. And they didn't have to work overtime, and they didn't have to work long hours. And the success of that and how it motivated the team and the appreciation that they felt at having been heard and understood was off the charts, and it was amazing.
PI planning, the cadence-based event that serves as the heartbeat for the art. So it is a cadence-based event that serves as the heartbeat of the Agile release train, aligning all teams on the art to a shared mission and vision. The most important part is it brings in alignment because the entire art plans together. So it's a 2 days event every 8 to 12 weeks. Most common is the 10 weeks. And here the entire art plans together. Product management, they own feature priorities. And product management, they prioritize what all features to be taken up in the upcoming PI, and they assign these features to different teams. And the Agile teams, they do the story planning, split the features into stories, and then they plan in which iteration what all stories they can forecast. So, and the system architect provides the technical guidelines. So what is the benefit of PI planning? First of all, the face-to-face conversation. It establishes a personal communication across all team members and stakeholders. Right? They meet once a quarter and they have this face-to-face conversation. And it brings in alignment, aligns development of business goals with the business context, vision, and team and RPI objectives. And we identify dependencies and foster decision making. Everybody is present in the room for 2 days, so we are able to take faster decisions. And based on your understanding, what could be the input for PI planning? We discussed yesterday the Scrum context, right? For iteration planning, we had some input. So what could be the input for PI planning?
Backlog.
Which backlog?
Product backlog, but I'm not sure.
There's no product backlog here, right, anymore.
Art.
For one art, so of course the solution vision is the input. Also the safe says suggests at least top 10 features from art backlog. So that's the two inputs. And we have the planning process, and the output is team plans with team PI objectives and the art planning board. I'll explain what are objectives and what is art planning board a little later. And also we will do a simulation of the PI planning so that we have a better understanding of what is PI planning. So we'll do a simulation. And also I'll explain the entire agenda for day 1, day 2, and the process, all that I'll explain. But before that, we need to build our art backlog. Right? We need to write features, build our art backlog, and so that we can have those prioritized features going to the PI planning. Now, what are features?
The functionalities.
Yeah, it's the requirements, but these are part of the art backlog, and one art will have one art backlog, and all the features are present in the art backlog. And features are little bigger requirements, which might take 2-3 iterations to complete. Say, for example, you're saying implement online payment. That could be one feature, which might have a lot of these small user stories like pay by Visa credit card, pay by Master credit card, pay by Visa debit card, pay by Apple Pay. It will have small user stories. But features are little bigger requirements, which might take 2-3 iterations to complete. But the thumb rule is features should fit in one PI. We don't want to write very big features which might spill over from one PI to another PI. So the way we write features is it should fit in one PI, right? And it has these 3 parts: a high-level title, the benefit hypothesis, right? How the user is going to be benefited from this feature when we implement this, and the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria more from the testing aspect. Now, how do we know that this feature is complete? How do we know that this feature is behaving as expected? So that's what we will we will write the acceptance criteria. And acceptance criteria are typically defined during the art backlog refinement by the product management. Of course, they work closely with the system architect to understand a little bit about the technical implementation, the scope, or how big is this feature in terms of implementation. This is an example of a feature. So what we are going to do is, if we have a small activity, consider you are working to build a new personal assistance mobile app. Maybe a personal assistant in the sense it can plan your day, it can show what are the movie shows going around in your locality, or what are the discounts available so that you can go and shop. It can manage your calendar, right? Where suppose say your friend is planning to visit your home with family, right? Whether you are occupied, whether you're busy, or whether you're out, they can easily look at your calendar and then plan their day. So a personal assistant mobile app. So brainstorm and come up with 5 features you would like to see on this new app, and choose at least 2 features and write down the details like the title and description, acceptance criteria, and the benefit hypothesis. So it will give us a little practice on how to write features, so that as a Scrum Master, when you are working with the other teams or the product management, or you can actually suggest or guide them. So I have this activity here, feature writing, which is number 18. Right? So there are some samples here. You can think of, this is for another app. So think of personal assistance mobile app and then see what all features you can come up with. This will give us a little bit of practice on how to write features. Can we do this? So maybe you can use this reference and then come up with 5 features, and for at least 2 features, write the acceptance criteria, the benefit hypothesis.